It always comes to this. More nice. There guys, here's another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off my most recent progress on my chest and my my right sleeve. I'm always looking at this. This is inverted, so my right is on my left since I'm using my front-facing camera. Some people have asked me about that. They're like, "How come you keep talking about your left arm and calling it your right sleeve?" It's like, no, this is my right arm, which, speaking of which, is fully healed now. So I did the second pass on the roses, the white. They're still not finished. We're going to do one more pass on the high points. So the high points being the parts that are more packed white, where a lot of this is like shaded white. It's not like we were trying to make every part of it as bright as possible. It's like some parts of it are purposely a little bit duller white so that you can create more contrast. There's even a few spots that we still left some of the negative of the dynamic black just to create contrast between the old dynamic black and the new Panthera black. So anyway, yeah, that's fully healed now. The little streaks that I had mentioned last time, there's still a little bit, but mostly gone. You can see they've come down quite a bit. They'll come down even more. You can mark my words on that. I'm a man of my word. I know what I'm looking at when it comes to tattoos healing, so there will be no surprises going forward for me. That being said, I did not have a session with Rick this week. Rick's at a hockey game. We are Canadians after all. We like our hockey, or at least a lot of us do. I'm not really a hockey guy, but Rick's a big Bruins fan, so I can imagine by now he's hungover or still drinking, enjoying an Airbnb, which will most likely be destroyed by the time him and his buddies get done with it. Anyway, so yeah, first time I've had a week off on the chest in 19 weeks. So what's that work out to? About 5 months, something like that. It's been a minute. I didn't mind it. I would have been happy to keep going, obviously, but that being said, there's tons more to do on the chest, so it's not like we're going to be, well, I wouldn't say tons, but there's still quite a few more weeks, I think. More weeks than Rick thinks, I think. So it's not like we were going to be finishing up immediately anyway, so a week off here or there wouldn't be too bad. I do have a tattoo session this week, potentially with Terry. We may not. I mean, I never think for sure with him, because a lot of that rests on whether he has other appointments and stuff, and I'm always a placeholder there. So for example, if I could find him something else to do that day, I can wait. I'm not super needy. For as often as I get tattooed, I'm not worried about it. But if we do that this week, it will be the second pass, or the tidying up run of the upper bicep, or the upper arm rather, the upper bicep. So we'll be smoothing all the red in here. And yeah, there's some spots that need the love a little more than others, but the upper arm is actually pretty good. I just want to get it more like, I guess it is similar, but this is a little bit more solid. It's hard to show off. Lighting is such a bitch in these, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it that some places like up here are more solid than some spots here. It's especially the case for the lower arm, but I already went over that. That needs a proper second pass. Just there's some spots that there was more black left than there was new red added, and they have more of a purple look, as I've discussed. So with that out of the way, I'll get into What I did end up doing this week, because obviously you probably already noticed, I have my vampire fangs now, so they're quite long. They're a presence. They're another, I like to think of these as another little body mod. I've got a lot going on in my mouth already, so it's not really like I haven't gotten used to things, but they may be too long. I can't really be sure yet. I'm happy with them for now. They're very cartoonish. I like the fact that they're quite bulky. I wanted mine to be more, less like cute and dainty and more like proper old school vampire teeth. I've always loved vampires, so for me it's like, it's a no-brainer. I have a friend here, actually one of the tattooers at the shop. She got hers done at a dentist in town. My dentist that I've been going to refuses to do that kind of stuff. They don't do cosmetic dentistry, like not strictly cosmetic. But my coworker here's dentist did hers, and they came out pretty cool. But she just got hers kind of small. So now I can always go back in and file mine down or change them. They're not actually irreversible or anything like that. I could have them taken off as early as tomorrow if I wanted. That being said, I really like them. They're going to take a minute to get used to. I've got most of my teeth fixed now. As I mentioned, when I went to the dentist, it had been the first time in 18 years. And since I was going to be doing that, I wanted to give myself some kind of a reward. Something that I always wanted was vampire teeth. And so since I had a friend who got theirs done in town here and is actually fairly affordable, it was like, well, okay, I guess I can do that. So yeah, the only other thing that I want to do with my teeth right away is I'd like to get them professionally whitened, because they're actually pretty bright, but they could be a little less yellow. They're still they're way better than I thought they were. It turned out my teeth were actually quite decent. It's just the plaque that was on them looked darker than the teeth were. So if you're out there and you've got pretty bad teeth, just know that it might not actually be your teeth necessarily that's coloring it. It could just be the plaque on top. That should maybe be common knowledge, but it wasn't common knowledge for me. So I figured I'd just make a note of that. Yeah, as I said, they're a bit of a presence. Mine protrude a bit, as I'm sure they're meant to. I can feel them kind of resting against my lip a little bit, but they haven't affected my bite. So, for example, when I bite down, I don't really feel them, but I do feel them when my mouth is at rest. So there is that. If you don't want something bulky in your mouth, I wouldn't recommend Fangs, but because I've had I've had many lip piercings over the years. I've had my tongue split. This stuff doesn't really concern me much. There was no pain in the operation, and it only took maybe half an hour for both of them, so it's not expensive. It doesn't take long. It's not painful. It's super easy. If you've been interested in getting some cosmetic dentistry, it seems really chill. That being said, when you get dentistry you actually need, that's not chill. I had a couple of fillings done the other day, and I'm still having trouble eating on the one side of my mouth, so that's a different thing. But yeah, I'm super happy with these. I've been looking forward to them for a while now, since I figured out that I can get them done. I just didn't want to bother with them until my teeth were at a place where I actually felt, not disgusting showing them off, or I've never been an open mouth smiler. This might change that. I thought maybe getting my tongue split would make me more of, I don't know, the people who are always playing with their tongue and doing tricks and stuff, and they're really having a blast with their tongue split. I was never really that guy with mine. I just wanted to know what it felt like, and I like the look of it. But overall, the tongue split's really easy to forget you have. I feel like this is going to be one of those too, but it's going to take a minute. You feel them more the first day probably than you're ever going to. I felt that way even when I got just a filling in the chipped tooth right here. So I'm sure it'll be something similar to that, where as time goes on, you notice them less and less. But the nice thing about this is, as I said earlier, if I decide that I don't want them anymore, or if I decide they're a little too big or they're out too far, I can correct all of that. So it's really a no pain, all gain thing for me. They were covered by my dental insurance. So just to make a note of that for anyone that's thinking about getting their own. I made this video because I was asked by a few people when I brought it up to do a video on it and kind of go over it. I don't have a whole lot to say other than that I've always loved vampires. I'm not super happy with what Hollywood did to them about 10 years ago with, maybe a little over 10 years ago with Twilight. I mean, if you like that, that's fine, but I wasn't a big fan of that. I did like True Blood a little bit early in, but I kind of lost interest as that went on. I was always more a fan of like monstrous vampires. I think a show that did vampires really well recently was Penny Dreadful. That's one of my favorite shows. I love classic horror, so, and I mean like Victorian era horror, so Dorian Gray is one of my favorite literary figures. Yeah, I used to have a Dracula tattoo on the back of my leg, and I've had tons of bat tattoos. My head tattoo is like an ancient vampire bat, or ancient vampire master, or whatever you want to call it. So my back piece that I still have is all vampire inspired. So it shouldn't really be too much of a shock for people who know me that I went and got this done. Feels to me long overdue, but it's nice to still have little things to look forward to like that, and to still be able to check some boxes this late into my life. Yeah, it's never too late to do something new. Anyway, I'll show off these fangs again. So let me know what you think of the fangs. Let me know if you think they're cheesy or silly or whatever. I'm sure there's going to be some people that think they're completely ridiculous, but I like them. I like the way the little changes they've made in my my overall look. They're a little more prominent than I was thinking they would be, because one last note on them before I go. You can only get them so long. It depends on how much space you have to build off. And I had quite a bit of room to build. So lucky for me, I was able to get a decent set of fangs. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.